Let's get you hired.
Hello and welcome to the State of Employment. I'm your host, Sarah Zuboff. And today I want to talk about something that nobody seems to want to talk about or even knows how to talk about, and that's rejection. Not the motivational poster kind, not that everything happens for a reason version, the actual experience of being rejected. Because across the board on social media and in my work, the question that I keep seeing over and over is, why am I getting interviews but no offers? And that question has shown up so much in career communities this week. And honestly, I get why. Because interviews create hope. You think, maybe this is it. Maybe this is going to be the call. Maybe this is the company. Maybe this is the thing that finally gets me unstuck. And you put all this time and energy into the interview and prepping, and then nothing. Or maybe you get a rejection email, or worse, no email, absolutely nothing. And that's one of the strangest things about job searching is that nobody really prepares you for how emotionally confusing it can be. We prepare our resumes, we prepare our cover letters, we prepare interview questions, but we don't really prepare for disappointment because we want to be positive, right? But honestly, ghosting and interviews are on people's minds. As a matter of fact, if you look at Reddit right now, there's about 45 discussions about being ghosted after final round interviews. Think about that. You spend hours researching a company, you take time off work, you meet 4 people in their organization, you send them thank you notes, you wait, and then nothing. It's crickets. And that does something to a person. And it's not because you're weak or you're dramatic, it's because that hurts. And one thing that stood out for me, just looking at those conversations, is that anxiety, frustration, and burnout are showing up far more often than confidence in job seekers. And that's heartbreaking. But honestly, it feels right. But here's what I don't want us to do. I don't want us to confuse rejection with fact or information. Because a rejection does tell you one thing: you didn't get the opportunity. That's it. It doesn't automatically tell you the truth about your talent, whether you're behind or in line with your peers. It certainly doesn't say whether you're too old for a position or you're too inexperienced or that you're bad at interviewing or even that you're unhireable. I just don't believe that. Now, sometimes rejection can be feedback. Maybe you don't have the right experience for the role. Maybe it's a timing issue. Sometimes it's budget. Sometimes it's internal politics. Sometimes it's they hired the CEO's nephew. That has nothing to do with you. So if you've been rejected recently, if you've been ghosted, if you've made it to the final round and didn't get the call, you're not alone. You're definitely not alone. In fact, based on the conversations happening right now, you probably are having one of the most common job search experiences in 2026. And maybe that's the thing that I want to leave you with. The opposite of rejection isn't success. The opposite of rejection is participation. And the fact that you're getting interviews, the fact that you're showing up, the fact that you're still trying means that you're still in the game. And eventually, you will win it.
Good evening, I'm Sophia Sherman with this week's employment forecast. We're seeing heavy rejection storms across California. Candidates are advised to carry emotional support coffee. A large ghost job system continues moving through the Midwest. We still don't know whether these positions are real. And over New York, we're tracking severe applicant congestion. Current estimates suggest 4,000 applicants per posting. Visibility remains poor due to dense ATS fog.
Hello and welcome to today's segment of One Job, Three Candidates. Today's role comes from Rubric, and the job description is with a title of Senior Manager, People Operations, Strategy and Programs, with a range of salary of $180,000 to $271,000. So there's a wide salary range there. Now, looking at this job description, there are some keywords that really stick out, primarily people ops, AI transformation, process improvement, change management, and cross-functional leadership. So here's the question that we're going to look at today. If you are the hiring manager, who gets the interview? Now, let me share the candidates that you're going to choose from. Candidate A is who I'm calling the HR lifetimer. 12 years in HR, employee relations manager, led investigations, managed performance issues, built onboarding programs, and is SHRM certified. Now, their strengths are they have deep HR knowledge, they know compliance like the back of their hand, and they have strong people skills. But there are some concerns here with this candidate. They have limited AI experience, they have limited transformation work, and they have little evidence of large-scale systems change. So this candidate, candidate A, is who I think most people picture when they hear people operations. But this posting doesn't read like a traditional HR role. It reads more like a transformation role wearing an HR name tag. Now, next up, we have candidate B, who I'm affectionately calling the operations nerd. This is a former management consultant. They've led process redesign projects. They've implemented AI workflows. They have Six Sigma certification, and they've built automation programs. Now, from a high-level view, their strengths are process improvement, automation, project leadership, and data-driven. Now, the concerns with this type of candidate is that they have never worked in HR. They have limited employee lifecycle experience, and they might underestimate compliance complexity. But candidate B can absolutely build systems. The question from a hiring manager perspective is whether they understand people, because humans are significantly more complicated than spreadsheets. And I say that as someone who loves spreadsheets. I also am an operations nerd. Okay, now last up, we have candidate C, who I'm calling the unexpected one or the outlier. They have experience as a recruiting operations leader, 8 years experience, built hiring systems, implemented Greenhouse, managed HR technology stack. They've led cross-functional teams. Their strengths are that they are HR adjacent, they're a systems thinker, they've worked in change management, they've worked in HR technology, and they have AI exposure. Now, here's some of the concerns with candidate C. They've never owned all of people ops, and they have less leadership experience than the other two candidates. But I find this candidate as actually interesting, not because they're the obvious choice, but because they're close enough to understand the function of the role and different enough to challenge it. So how do I pick? Who do I pick? My answer is I would interview candidate C first, and I would bring in candidate B for an interview as well. And honestly, out of the three, I'm not sure candidate A would get a first round interview. And I know that may seem a little outside the box, but here's why. This company isn't asking someone to maintain a system. They're asking someone to redesign one. The posting mentions AI, automation, process engineering, transformation, modernization over and over and over. The job description is the strongest clue, and what it repeats is usually what leadership is being kept awake at night worrying about how to solve for. So, when you're looking at any job description, look for those repetitive key words and see how your experience aligns. So, now I want to know, who would you interview? A, B, or candidate C? And more importantly, did you see something in their background that maybe I missed and should take a second look at?
Let's get you hired.